What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jimmy Talks. All right, so the Epstein files. You've heard about them, I've heard about them, and the whole world's been screaming about it for years. But somehow we're still stuck in this circus of lies, misdirection, outright bullshit. And by the way, guys, this isn't about the left wing or the right wing or the red team and the blue team conundrum. It's about power, corruption, human trafficking, and the government that laughs in your face while sloppily hiding it and not even trying. Also, let me say that I'm not the TDS type, and I actually supported Trump for quite some time, although I had a feeling he was compromised and I didn't even vote in 2024, so just wanted to clear that up. Let's start with the DOJ, the Department of Justice. They released these phony and fake Epstein Part 1 files with blank binders that had information that was already leaked and heavily redacted and only given to conservative influencers. Why these specific people? These influencers, who also happen to be strong supporters of Israel, by the way, every single one. And we'll see this as a recurring theme here, which is kind of weird. The only people who support this don't pay attention to the Epstein files are like extreme supporters of Israel and other pedophiles. Kind of a strange thing. Then we never got part 2 of the file drop. No redaction of the already dropped files. And now we're getting told it never existed. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Donald Trump, the guy who campaigned on draining the swamp, exposing the elites, and most importantly, dropping the Epstein files, ends up calling this whole entire thing a Democrat hoax. Forget about it, he says. Move on, there's nothing to see here. But then, out of nowhere, this week, they announced their unsealing grand jury testimony related to Epstein. Are you kidding me? So the files don't exist, but now they're magically real enough to unseal? This is the kind of gaslighting that makes you question your own sanity. And extreme sycophant MAGA supporters are just like, trust the plan, bro. Trust the plan, bro. It's 4D chess, bro. Yeah, okay. Let's not forget about Gila Maxwell either, Epstein's right-hand woman. She was convicted of sex trafficking and procuring minors for Epstein's operation, and she even went to jail for it. But didn't she also say recently she'd come out and testify? Oh yeah, she dangled that carrot in front of everyone, only for that to suddenly vanish into thin air. Suddenly, the list doesn't exist either, just like the files, just like any shred of accountability. It's almost like, don't call me crazy here, but it's almost like someone, somewhere, decided the truth was too hard for the public to handle. So what's the deal then? Why did Gila Maxwell go to jail if there's no list, there's no files, there's no nothing? That doesn't even make sense. And why did the conservative influencers, these same ones who claim to be anti-establishment, start waving around empty binders like they were getting us the real information, like it was some kind of show to put on? Empty binders. Really? That's the best they could come up with? It's insulting. Speaking of Trump, let's talk about his role in this again. This is a guy who campaigned hard on releasing the Epstein files. He stood on the stages. He pointed at the crowds. He promised to blow the lid off of this. We're going to expose the elites. We're going to release the Epstein files, he said. The files are coming. Now fast forward to July 2025, and it's a complete 180. First it was, we need more time, folks. Just be patient. Then it was Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, saying, the files are on my desk. Trust me. Now he's saying it's a Democrat hoax. Get over it. Excuse me? Go fuck yourself. This should set off every alarm bell in your head. You don't go from, I'm going to release the files to, it's all fake, unless you've got something to cover up. And let's not kid ourselves. Trump's not subtle about it. The people telling you to forget about the Epstein files and Trump, they're the same ones who will bend over backwards to defend Israel at every turn. Why is this a coincidence that everybody who tells you to just forget about this world global child sex trafficking ring, they all support Israel or they're pedophiles themselves? That's just a weird coincidence. And that brings us to a bigger point. This isn't just about Epstein. It's about who really runs the country here. You want to know who's in charge? Look at who you cannot criticize. That goes for any facet in life. In the United States, 800 to 1,600 people were deported for daring to criticize Israel. Deported for words about a foreign country. Meanwhile, how many people have been investigated for their role in Epstein's pedophile ring? Zero. Not a single one. No handlers, no clients, no enablers, nobody. If that doesn't tell you who's calling the shots, which were the people who are in charge of Epstein, I don't know what will. As the saying goes, again, I'll say it again, to find out who your boss is, figure out who you cannot criticize. Fucking bingo, obviously. The Epstein case is a screaming neon, right in your face sign that our government is not ours anymore. It's been bought and paid for, and the beneficiaries aren't you or me, it's Israel. Let's rewind to earlier this year. Again, I want to go back to the supposed Part 1 Epstein files release. Oh, what a spectacle that was. Heavily redacted documents filled with information everyone already knew and it was already released. Handed out like party favors to conservative ex-influencers. And who are these influencers? The same ones who spend their days shilling for Israel and pushing mainstream conservative talking points. Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool. Take your pick out of any of them. These are the guys telling you not to trust the government on vaccines, not to trust healthcare, don't trust the wars, don't trust the spending. But when it comes to Epstein, oh, trust the government. Don't question that Epstein was a Mossad asset. The files are fake. The binders are empty. Move along. Charlie Kirk in particular deserves a special shout out for that one. Dude, get fucked. You can't scream don't trust the government out of one side of your mouth and then tell us to trust them on Epstein out of the other. You are controlled by Ben Shapiro in Israel, and you support everything that Trump does, even when it doesn't benefit the country. And by the way, since I know people will ask since I mentioned vaccines, no, I didn't take the COVID shot since I mentioned it. All right. If you've been following me for a while, you probably already know. You'd already assume that. I'm not here to play games or pretend I'm something that I'm not. The point is, though, the same people telling you to ignore the Epstein files are the ones pushing narratives that protect the powerful and in charge. Pay attention to those who are telling you to just forget about the Epstein stuff. We have more pressing issues at play here. Right. Now let's talk about Epstein's supposed suicide. The official story is that he killed himself in his jail cell. Case closed. That's it. Forget about it. But then, after the incident, when it first happened, an independent autopsy, which was hired by Epstein's own brother, found evidence of strangulation, not a suicide by hanging, but strangulation. And then there's the jail cell footage, which is where it gets even more sloppy of a cover-up job. The metadata from the video shows it was edited and stitched together from 2 clips and edited with Adobe Premiere 4 and saved 4 separate times. A whole entire minute of footage is missing. You don't accidentally lose a minute of footage from a high-profile prisoner's cell. Fuck you. This is deliberate. It's so blatant, it's almost like they're mocking us. What, did they hire some H-1B Indian visa to slap this together? Sard, the video is finished, Sard. Great work, geniuses. You had one job to just release the files, but what you did was you edited it and you botched it. It's like you couldn't even do it covertly. They're doing it right in front of your face. What also makes me want to crash out is that they think you're stupid. They think you'll just swallow this bullshit and move on. They laugh about it behind closed doors because they don't care about you. Not one bit. And this isn't some one-party problem either. This isn't Republicans versus Democrats. Both sides are implicated. Both sides have their hands dirty. The water is muddied. You've got Democrats and Republicans named in Epstein's orbit, and yet nobody's facing justice, as well as high-profile Hollywood actors. Nobody's being hauled into a courtroom. Nobody's hanging from the gallows for their crimes. If I were in charge, I'd have started a purge of these pedophiles years ago. Line them up, try them, and let justice do its work. But instead, we get empty binders, edited footage, and being told it's just a Democrat hoax. Let's just look at the bigger picture of this again. This whole Epstein situation ties into a bigger picture of betrayal. Look at the last 20 years. We were dragged into a desert war across the globe, sold to us under the false pretense of 9/11, which was an inside job. Don't even try to argue otherwise at this point. Everybody knows the truth. Everybody knows it. 2 decades of fighting, trillions of dollars spent. Imagine if that money was spent here, the trillions of dollars. We never went to war. And what did it get us? It got us nothing. America's best patriots, men and women who believed they were fighting for freedom and against terrorism, were sent to die for a lie. And who benefited? You already know. Our greatest ally came out on top, while 0 IDF soldiers died in the global war on terror. 0. Meanwhile, we lost some of our finest patriots, and they were tricked maliciously into carrying out a foreign country's bidding. If you don't believe me, Clean Break Report, 1996. They've been talking about this for almost 30 years now. This goes back to like the 70s and the 60s, even further than 30 years ago. Just like how they want to trick us and say that Epstein was not a Mossad asset. He killed himself. Don't look at it any further. These rich politicians and these Hollywood actors are not implicated. Yeah, okay. I'll never forget that, and neither should you. May those patriots rest in peace and their sacrifices never forgotten. But back to the Epstein files. The fact that we're still here, years later, with no real answers and no real accountability tells you everything that you need to know. Americans are waking up in real time to who owns their government. The people protecting Epstein's handlers are dodging justice. They're daring you to care. And also, the mainstream conservative influencers are also part of the problem. They'll scream about freedom and truth, but when it comes to Epstein, they're suddenly government cheerleaders. Believe everything that they say. Bro, just believe the government about this one, bro, please. It's not blackmail, bro. Yeah, okay. Don't trust them. Don't trust anyone who tells you to look away from this. Take notes of who's telling you to forget about all this, and remember their names. Now, here's the bottom line. The Epstein files exist. They've always existed. The redactions, the empty binders, the edited footage, the flip-flopping politicians, like, oh, we're going to release the files. Oh, wait, actually, they don't exist, and Epstein killed himself. It's all just a show. It's a sloppy, arrogant show. They're hiding names, they're protecting child traffickers, and they're betting you'll get tired and give up. But we're not stupid. Americans are starting to see through the lies, and we're not going to forget about it. We all know this was a Mossad blackmail operation on the U.S. The circumstantial evidence of all of this AIPAC and NGO money also doesn't add up to that Israel is in control of us. The truth is out there, and it's uglier than they want you to know. Epstein didn't operate alone. He had handlers, clients, and enablers. And these people were, and still are, at the highest levels of power. And until those names are exposed, and until they're dragged into the streets and flogged for their crimes against humanity, this fight is not over. We're talking about child victims here. They can't protect themselves. They need to go to adults to protect them, and those same adults sold them out into something vicious, immoral, disgusting, burn in the depths of hell. Okay? Everybody implicated in this. So what I think you should do is to keep pushing this and to continuously ask questions. Keep calling out the liars. Keep calling out the gatekeepers. The narrative is starting to crumble. Everyone's starting to notice. We don't let them gaslight us into thinking this is a Democrat hoax or a conspiracy theory. I fucking hate that term now. It's a conspiracy. That means it's not real. Okay, a conspiracy theory, it's like you're wearing a tinfoil hat. No, the evidence actually is all there. Strangulation marks, edited footage, redacted files, even though they said they were going to release everything. Empty promises. I'm going to release the files. Just kidding. Ties to Mossad. Telling you it's all fake, even though Trump literally campaigned on exposing this? They can't hide forever. And to the people in charge, the ones laughing behind their desk, their screens, saying it's all fake, we see you. We know who you're protecting. And we're not going to stop until the truth comes out. If we don't fight for the truth, nobody will. The status quo will remain. That's all for today. Jimmy Talks out.